It's no secret that Donald Trump loves aligning himself with other aspiring dictators around the world. He loves these guys. It's kind of his favorite people. And one of his favorite buddies has always been this guy, former Brazilian President Bolsonaro. You see him there, right there. Trump and Bolsonaro share similar bombastic styles. They both love to attack the media. And they both seem to respond the same way when they lose legitimate democratic elections. I mean, when Bolsonaro lost his bid for re-election in Brazil, his far-right supporters stormed Brazil's Congress trying to overturn the results of that election. Fortunately, sounds familiar, of course, because Trump's failed coup happened on January 6, 2021. Now, Bolsonaro's happened on January 8th, just 2 years later. But unlike our country, Brazil actually managed to put their strongman ex-president on trial for his failed coup attempt. And Trump has been particularly irked by that. Very irked to see one of his BFFs face consequences for his actions. So today, Trump signed an order imposing steep new 50% tariffs on the nation of Brazil as retribution for what he calls the witch hunt trial of his friend Bolsonaro. He loves the term witch hunt. He's demanded that Brazil's justice system drop its case against Bolsonaro. And today, the current leader of Brazil, President Silva, responded to Trump in an interview with the New York Times, and he made it quite clear that he would not be backing down. Here's a part of what he said, quote, "Maybe Trump doesn't know that here in Brazil, the judiciary is independent. The democratic state of law for us is a sacred thing because we have already lived through dictatorships and we don't want any more. Tell us how you really feel." Now, over the last 6 months, though, this is the point. We've seen countless countries and institutions and media organizations bow down to Trump in the face of pressure. This happens more often than what President Da Silva just did. And that has been frustrating, maddening, disheartening, all of the things to watch. But more and more, we're also seeing people realize what Brazil's president has long seemed to understand. Donald Trump is kind of a paper tiger. He's not as powerful as he thinks he is. And we're even starting to see some members of Trump's own party come around to this reality. Now, to be clear, I'm not about to give any elected Republican a Profile in Courage award, nor do I think that Trump has completely lost his hold on the Republican Party. Not at all. I mean, just yesterday, Senate Republicans voted to give Trump's former personal attorney, that guy, Emil Bovee, a lifetime appointment to the federal bench. But for a long time, Republicans in Congress have operated under the assumption that they would pay a big political price for opposing Trump on anything, any tiny thing at all. Oppose Trump and his voters will oppose you. That's been the logic. But now it seems like some Republicans are starting to think that the wrath they will face for opposing Trump really isn't that bad. Or maybe, and this is part of their calculation, it's just not as bad as supporting or opposing the thing he wants them to support or oppose. Consider what happened today in the United States Senate. Right now, Democrats are pushing to ban federal elected officials from buying and trading stocks while in office. It's exactly the kind of anti-corruption legislation that Trump and his allies really hate for all of the reasons you know. And we're going to talk with Senator Elizabeth Warren about this effort later this hour. She's been a big advocate about this for a long time. Now, Trump allies like Florida Senator Rick Scott, though, have worked hard to kill the legislation. He's not even the only one. But today in a committee meeting on this measure, Republican Senator Josh Hawley made clear that maybe it wasn't in his interest to just go along entirely with what the Trump team wanted this time.
When I got elected, I sold all of my trusts and assets. Great. I don't have a blind trust. I practice what I preach. I don't have individual stocks. I don't trade in stocks. I'm not a billionaire, unlike others on this committee.
You made a reference to billionaires, okay? I don't know when in this country it became a negative to make money. But somehow, if you've made money, you're supposedly, I think Senator Hawley suggests, you shouldn't be serving. Anybody want to be poor? I don't. This is an attack against the president, attack against the vice president. That's what this is.
I mean, did you notice the body language in there? Very chilly in there among those Republican senators. I would just note here, because it's worth knowing, and you may already know this, Senator Rick Scott is one of the richest members of Congress, in part after making an absolute fortune as the CEO of a healthcare company that was accused of defrauding Medicare and fined over $1 billion. What was at the time the largest healthcare fraud settlement in U.S. history. That's that guy. That might help explain why he's so adamantly against this anti-corruption bill. Just might help explain it. But all of Rick Scott's protestations and invocations of the president did not work to sway his colleague. At the end of the meeting, Senator Hawley voted with Democrats to advance that ban on stock trading. And I'm not saying any of this to praise Senator Hawley, Lord knows, believe me, but it's very clear that on this issue, he's making a calculation that it's in his interest to distance himself from the corrupt billionaires in his party instead of going along with them. Now, shortly after that, Donald Trump responded to Josh Hawley's apostasy exactly how you would expect. He wrote an angry post on his social media site saying, quote, "I don't think real Republicans want to see their president, who has had unprecedented success, targeted because of the whims of a second-tier senator named Josh Hawley!" Exclamation point, of course. Now, this post, I will admit, I'm not a big defender of Josh Hawley. It did weaken his spine quite a bit. When he was asked about it, he basically bent himself into a pretzel, saying he had not spoken with Trump and he was willing to make changes to the bill in order to gain Trump's support. So there's that. But the point is this, at least for now, he still voted with Democrats in favor of this bill. And it's not like Trump's online bullying campaign is particularly well thought out at all. I mean, in fact, his social media temper tantrums have become so erratic that even the senators who do go along with the agenda are still waking up to all-cap screeds from the leader of their party. I mean, take poor Senator Chuck Grassley. He learned that lesson the hard way this morning. For years, he has been cultivating a reputation as a senator who really cares about whistleblowers, which is becoming kind of awkward for him. We talked about this last night, but last night he ignored not one, not two, but 3 credible whistleblowers in order to jam through the nomination of Trump's former personal attorney for a lifetime position as a federal appeals judge. Now, today, and I love this detail, also happens to be National Whistleblower Day. Of course it is. And when Senator Grassley, after ignoring the whistleblowers last night, decided it was wise to try to mark the occasion of National Whistleblower Day with a tweet, he was immediately met, of course he was, with a barrage of criticism calling out his hypocrisy. But here's the thing. Chuck Grassley throwing away his reputation as a defender of whistleblowers wasn't enough to make Trump happy. And by this morning, Trump was already attacking Grassley for not supporting him on yet another issue before the Senate. The lesson here is that no amount of fealty will ever be enough for Trump. No amount. At some point, it is in the Republicans' best interest to just ignore him and listen to their voters. That basic political truth has eluded them for years and is still eluding most of them, but some of them are starting to reckon with it. And the issue that seems to have brought them to this point is, of all things, Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, for weeks, Republicans have been caught between Trump's desire to make the Epstein story go away and their own voters demanding that more information be brought to light. It was just last week that 3 diehard MAGA Republicans broke with Trump and voted to subpoena the Epstein files. Right now, the Trump-loyal chair of the House Oversight Committee still has not signed that subpoena and will not say why. But the momentum around this issue is not slowing down. Today, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced that he would be invoking an obscure Senate rule to try and force the Justice Department to release the Epstein files.
Today, Senate Democrats took action. We're invoking federal law and using our authority as a check on the executive to compel transparency. It's not a stunt. It's not symbolic. It's a formal exercise of congressional power under federal law. And we expect an answer from DOJ by August the 15th.
Now, it's not entirely clear. We don't know what will happen, that this latest tactic will be the thing that finally forces the release of the Epstein files to the public. But what is clear is that these efforts are not slowing down. Each of these measures is a new test for Republicans. They may not be on the verge of abandoning their president. Most of them will probably never even criticize him publicly. But some of them are starting to test what it means to defy him, to take votes that he doesn't like, demand documents he doesn't want them to have. And whether they realize it or not, that nascent defiance is showing just how much of a paper tiger Trump really is.